Right, the first thing you're going to do is input your data series. So the first one is baseline, and you're going to put that in A1, and then intervention, and you're going to type it into B2. And you guys are going to input your data. The baseline data, it can be whatever you have. I use percentages for this one, but whichever data you have goes in here. And then for intervention, you're going to go 1 over and 1 down. So in this case, it's B5, and then you put your data in here as well. Right, in order to create a graph, you're going to highlight all of the stuff that you typed in already, go to Insert, and then go over to the line graph over here, and click on the first one. You don't have to make it bigger. I like to slide it over and make it bigger so it's easier to read, but that's up to you. Okay, then you're going to go over to Add Chart Element. There's a couple of things you need to do. The first is you want to add axis titles, so you want one for the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. So make sure they're both checked. Then you're going to go back over to Chart Elements, and you want to get rid of the grid line, so it's checked, and you're going to uncheck it. Back over to Chart Elements again. You're going to get rid of the legend. For this graph, you don't need a legend. If you do, then just leave it there for other types of graphs. Click on the chart title, and I type in whatever my problem behavior was. So whatever your problem behavior is can be your title. And then you're going to go to Home, and you're going to make sure it's black. So click on the A, and make sure that the color of the font is black. I make it bigger, but again, you guys don't have to. Right, then we're going to go over to the Y-axis. Again, make everything black. I put it to size 12. Again, that's your choice. Then we're going to right click it oops, hang on. Okay, you're going to right click it and go down to Format Axis, and a sidebar is going to pop up. If you click on the paint bucket and you're going to go to Line, same thing, you're going to make it black. All ABA graphs are black. Go over to the mini bar graphs and you're going to go to Axis Options. You're going to make the minimum -10 just so you have a little bit of extra space. And then makes the max can be 100. And this is if you're using percentages. If you're using a different scale, then go ahead and use your judgment on what that should be. And again, the major should be 10, and that should change by itself. So what we're going to do now is raise the 0. So the axis value should be -2, which means it's going to drop the x-axis down. So if you have any data that's right on the 0 line, it won't get too crowded. Right, now we're going to go to the tick marks. For the major type, you're going to do it outside, and then you'll see the tick marks pops up. So if you click on the wrong one, you can see where it's supposed to go. Right, and then the axis title, again, you want to make sure this is black and white as well. So for this, since I did percentages, I'm going to type in percentage of intervals with target behavior. If you guys did frequency, then you would type in frequency of target behavior, or whatever label you need for your y-axis. And then again, make sure it's black. And then I also make mine a little bigger. All right, and then if we go to the x-axis, we're going to kind of do the same thing. So go to the paint bucket again, make sure it's black. And then go to the mini bar graphs. We don't have to worry about axis options here, just the tick marks. And this is going to be the opposite of the y-axis, so the minor type is going to be outside. And then again, you can see the little tick marks where they go. Again, make it black, and I make it bigger. I put it to size 12 too. And then same thing with the axis title. I usually do sessions here. You can do the date depending on whatever your data is. And then again, make sure it's the same size and make it black. All right, the next thing we're going to do is format the data series. So you're going to click on your baseline line, go to the paint bucket, make sure the line is black. And then you're going to click on marker at the top and go to marker options. So marker options, there are none there. You want to build them in and click on the circle. You can leave it at size 5. I normally go up to size 6 just to make it look nicer, but that's up to you. And then again, make sure the fill is black. And then you're going to go ahead and make sure the border is black as well. And then you're going to do the same thing for the intervention data. So make sure the line is black. And then the marker, go to marker options, built in, make it a circle, put it up a size if you want, up to you. And then change the fill to black and the border to black. All Right, next thing we're going to do is add the phase change line, so that goes in between the baseline and intervention data. So you're going to go to Insert, Shapes, and then click on the straight line. When you're drawing this, you can hold down the Shift button, and that'll make sure it's perfectly vertical. You don't have to, but it does make it easier. And you're going to draw it right to the top of the graph. And then again, go over to the sidebar, and you're going to make sure it's black. All right, next we're going to add labels so that we can label baseline and intervention. So you're going to go to Insert at the top, and then over to Text Box. And you're going to draw the text box. And in the first phase, you're going to write baseline. And you're going to make sure it's black. It should already be black. And then for this, you want to make sure that it doesn't have a line around it. So right now it has a solid line, and you're going to click on no line. And then just format it. So you want to slide it up so it's right at the top, where the top part of your graph is. All right, you're going to do the same thing for the intervention side. So go over to text box, draw a text box. Again, write intervention. Make sure it's black. I just center it. You guys don't have to. That's something you can choose. No line. And then make sure it's right in line with the baseline label. All right, now we're going to label the graph. Oh, sorry. So we're just going to label it so we know whose graph it is. So you guys, for your project, will use a pseudonym. So I'm going to draw a text box. It's just going to be somewhere where there isn't any data, but somewhere on the graph. So I'm going to pretend my student's name is Sarah. And I'm just going to center this and make sure it's black. And then for this one, you do want a line around the edges. So over where it says solid line, make sure the solid line is black so you can see it. All right, the last thing we need to do is, because we raised the 0, there's that extra -10 on the y-axis. We're going to cover it up. So you're going to go to Shapes, and you're going to draw a rectangle over it. And then we're just going to make the rectangle white so it looks like there's no part of the axis there. So you're going to go over to the paint bucket, fill, make it white, and then to the line, make it white. And that should be your finished graph. The only thing here is if you go to try to move the graph, the phase change line and all of those text boxes won't move. So you'll just have to readjust them, but otherwise you should be all set.